Boom. Okay. Second time recording. It's all good. Take two. We had a little hiccup for the first one. We were only 2 minutes
This one's
in.
going to be better.
But what we were saying before is the world seems like it's ending again. And the government is kind of taking back control. They kind of gave us a little freedom back. Now they're taking it almost.
Well, dude, I think of it, the government it's basically a business, to be honest. And whatever they're going to pitch you, they got to pitch you something. And this is what they call in business called the big ask. Okay. You know, like you're with your mom, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, you want something. So say, for example, you want something that costs $100. It's $100 fucking dollars. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money. Yeah. But like, you got to smooth your way into it with your mom. You're like, Mom, can I have $200? Right. So you ask for more. But in reality, you want less, a little bit less. And that's what the big ask is. So, like, when your mom goes, like, oh, $200, are you fucking crazy? I'm not going to give you $200. Right. When instead, you're like, well, how about $100? Or, what about $150? $150. And then she's like, okay, maybe. Because it's far better than the first option you got. Right. And so that's what they did to you. They're like, okay, we're going to do the big ask. You get all your vaccines. All you guys are gonna have no masks, back together, everything will be fine. Yeah. What the fuck happened? Now we're all having masks again. A lot of us are vaccinated in areas that are supposed to be wearing masks. They have a higher vaccination rate. Mm-hmm. And now I wouldn't be surprised. I'm like, okay, so this is the big ask. So they're first gonna ask for masks. Yep. And now, will we have a lockdown again? We already starting hearing these freaking Delta Plus, Lambda. They sound like a new iPhone coming out every year. And now it's like, okay, what's going on? It's like you promised people something. And if anything, it's going to start convincing people, well, this fucking doesn't work. What's the point? If you're still going to be in masks, you're not going to be able to do anything. Yeah. And you go in New York. It's fucking crazy. In New York now, Mayor de Blasio has this mandatory now. You cannot go to gyms, you cannot go to restaurants, you cannot go to outdoor activities unless you're vaccinated.
That's ridiculous.
You have to have basically the vaccine passports that we've been so fearful of, and we didn't think it happened. They changed it in June, the mask mandate, and now it's almost the end of or the beginning of August. It's like they only just gave you a little, and now it's here. I don't know. It's a scary time.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's real scary for a bunch of different reasons, and we're seeing a trend here. Mm-hmm. This is what they did with the lockdown. They said 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks. That was it. And then 2 weeks became a month. A month became 2 months. 2 months became 4 months. And then eventually people started going crazy, and then they kind of let it out a little bit. And really the big ask, or I mean, I don't know how to say it, but the way they kind of compensated with that lockdown the first time was with riots and with protests and gatherings and these big political events that Trump was holding, as well as Antifa and all
BLM,
of them,
all of them,
every single one. They all kind of gave us that option, but that was the only option you could to go outside, which was very, very scary. You can't go outside unless you're protesting.
Right. And you have to protest the right protests.
Or you have to go to a Trump rally.
Right.
Those are the only two. You can't have a moderate protest or anything that's not acceptable. You have to go Antifa or you have to go Trump, which was terrifying for so many reasons. You had to go outside, you had to pick an extreme view politically, and then you had to go and act on it. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, me thinking about this, sitting here wondering, where's this going to go? And not only that, when are people going to start to push back?
Right. And I think you are seeing people pushing back. Because, on the Trump side, you got people who are, anti-lockdown, who are anti, we're not going to deal with this bullshit. And then you saw how the media chose sides. Vox, I think on Twitter, it was Vox had an article saying how Black Lives Matter protests will not cause spike in COVID, but then a week later, how Trump protests, anti-lockdown protests start COVID. I'm like, how the fuck does that make sense? They're both going outside maskless, and they don't give a fuck. And you've seen politicians on both sides. It's just it's honestly the same side of the coin, but people are going crazy. That first lockdown, people were protesting, and maybe they were more wild because they were trapped in their houses. Yeah. For sure. Do you know how many people died of alcoholism, people drug abuses, people who are stuck at homes with abusive families and suffering? I was
looking at this the other day. 20 more thousand people died of overdose in 2020
right.
than 2019.
And we were getting better, and then this year or last year just killed us all.
Yeah, and the suicide rate was... See, here's the problem. And a lot of people get uncomfortable when I talk about this, but I talk about it.
Yeah, you gotta say what you gotta say.
How many overdoses are suicides? Because that is a way to kill yourself, is by overdosing.
Yeah.
By purposely overdosing. How can you tell an accidental overdose to somebody who overdosed on purpose and died? Right. You can't.
You can't.
You can't. Unless they wrote a letter or they texted somebody or they were with somebody maybe.
Yeah.
But even then, it gets very, very hard. When someone's alone and they overdose, who the fuck knows what their intentions were?
And these people, you know what? They get no help. They never get help. They never go to therapy. They never go to a doctor. They say, go fuck off because they can't afford the health care. We're in a country where 300,000 people could have survived if they had health care. And no one gave a fuck. We bomb other countries, and and the government doesn't really take care of us. Last Saturday, an eviction moratorium. So throughout the pandemic, if you were obviously because they told you can't go to fucking work, how are you gonna pay for rent? They said, okay, so we're gonna have this eviction moratorium where if you're living in those houses and you can't afford rent, you can't get kicked out of your house. Right. The CDC had the guidelines because they don't want to start the spread, and so the government's fucking telling you can't work. They should be responsible of housing you, you know?
For sure.
And
they absolutely should.
On Saturday, that was about to go off the tables. The Supreme Court ruled on it in the first moratorium and saying that, hey, this is legislation that Congress needs to do. Congress didn't do anything. Nancy Pelosi, AOC, they didn't give a fuck. None of the Republicans wanted it. And they were literally about to send about 3 million Americans out of their homes Saturday.
That's absolutely
3 million Americans. And you know what they did? After 4 or 5 days, they did this little like political theater where some of the politicians slept outside of the Capitol and said, you can't do this to the home. People are going to be homeless. And I respect that you're going to do your protesting against something horrible. Yeah. Kudos to Cory Bush, sorry. But you have the power to do this, but you don't care. You have the power to do a health care. You have the power to give people basically a home. Yeah. Like I get some people say like, oh, well, think about the small, like the landlords, right? They're basically covering the costs of the people living there because they're not paying the expenses, and I understand that. But we're the richest fucking country in the world, and we couldn't have done rent relief. We couldn't have done that, and anywhere else. And I hate using the argument. I'm like, oh, other countries do this, other countries do that, but this is just common sense, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And they're they don't care, and so. 4 or 5 days later, they change it. Now they have another moratorium. I think it's 2 months now, 3 months now that they can't get kicked out of their homes. Well, what are we gonna do? Like seriously? Like I think we talked about this last time a little bit, but there's still help wanted signs. Yeah. Everything's costing way more. We might go into lockdown again, and honestly, it's a fucking mess. It's a huge freaking mess.
If there is one thing that will break America, honestly, legitimately, is I think if we have another lockdown like we did last time, it's over. It's a wrap here. I mean, like, legitimately, I think you should start looking to move to other countries because this is fucking ridiculous. And I don't know how you are going to survive another lockdown, especially with... And we still had... Because there are so many different sides to the story here. Mm-hmm. And another side of the story is that people are still on unemployment. People are still benefiting from unemployment who can go back to work, who are choosing not to go back to work because they're on unemployment. So then you have that side of the story where people are just collecting money from the government, from the taxpayer. Right. And so you have to account for both of these things where you have to allow people who can't work get money, and then those who can work, who aren't working, you need to get those people off the fucking unemployment checks.
Oh, 100%. I think the problem is right now is you're kind of seeing a worker revolution. You're getting people who they don't want to go to work fucking 5-7 days of the week. No. Sometimes they want to work at home. Yeah. They want to have that ability, and in some companies it's different. Sometimes they're going to mandate you to get a vaccine. There's so many other external factors, but what I saw with the pandemic is it's kind of changing the workforce's mentality.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't have to be all business all the time.
No.
But the problem is there comes to a point where you got to go back.
Yeah.
And that's why I do think the unemployment benefits help, but it's the conditions that people are in that they don't want to work. Because they're saying, think about it like this, right? Back then, they're getting $600 a week on unemployment from the government. That's way more than they would have made while working, right? On average, you'll make $300 a week. And that's if we're on $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
Most people in America who get paid minimum wage can't afford rent, and they work 40 plus hours. So you have to look at that and think, well, I wouldn't fucking be working, to be honest. If I can't afford the roof over my head, why the hell am I going to get off unemployment?
Right.
And that's why I do think unemployment should be a little harder. You should be like, okay, you need to go to work and stuff.
Right.
Basically fix the welfare system. In welfare, in order to be on welfare still, you have to be a single parent. If you have a combined income and you reach a certain threshold, you're not going to get the money. And that threshold is not enough to sustain for a family, like you trying to have a family in general. Right. So it's a weird system where like I would like people to go back to work, but then you also got people scared. People are scared shitless. Even the people who don't want to get vaccines, they're scared. They don't know what the hell's in the vaccine. They don't know what to do. It's not even passed by the FDA.
It's not passed by the FDA.
It's like, why? I get it. Why take the risk? And this is why another thing, I'm like, people trying to go back to the workforce. Well, if people are going to be forced to be vaccine mandated and such, that's a huge issue. It's not just a right wing or issue, because the most affected community that's not vaccinated, it's the Black and Latino community. Not even white people. Most white people got the vaccine. Right. That's why it's craziness from New York. You're getting a vaccine mandate. How many liberals live in New York City? Probably, I would like to hope like it's 80%. Right? Or whatever. I don't know. It's
20% there, whatever.
Whatever. But you think most of them are liberal. Most of them probably got the vaccine.
Yeah.
So what gives? So if you're protected, what gives? It doesn't fucking matter if there's COVID cases. Yes, it's tough, but you have to look at hospitalization rates. You have to look at death tolls. And I know we kind of just jumbled up conversations, but man,
it's okay.
It's all on the same thing. I feel like a lot of society's problems, it kind of all ties together.
No, for sure. Well, and that's what I was trying to say is that, I mean, and I've said this so many times on the podcast, social media is not a good way to talk about these issues. No. It's terrible. It's horrible. It's not a good way to talk. A proper way to talk is, number one, to get prepared. I don't necessarily think these things should maybe come up at the dinner table. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is one of the reasons why people don't like politics at the dinner table, because it's
people don't want to argue.
People don't want to argue, and it's ridiculous. And also, I mean, you get these old people who think
they fucking know everything.
They think they fucking know everything because they watch CNN or whatever, and you're whatever. And then they're talking to other people at the dinner table, and then they start to yell. Yeah. Or the kids start to yell because they're fucking kids. Either way, it's just not... And then you probably have some other annoying shit with the family. Dude, you're probably already annoyed with the family in some way. So then you're already more hesitant, or not hesitant, more agitated with them, so you're more likely to yell at them.
Odds are both of them probably don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Odds are. Probably. I swear to God. I saw... Did you see the guy from Reddit? This kid from Reddit, he said, "Oh, poor me. My dad's a QAnon supporter. He doesn't... he's talking craziness. He doesn't believe in this." I think the Parkland shooting or something like that. It was like a Parkland...
Wait. I think that kid was a survivor of the Parkland
shooting.
I
think so.
Yeah.
And then he said his dad didn't believe it.
Tim Dillon had a whole thing. He had a joke on his recent
podcast. Tim Dillon.
Oh my God, he's hilarious. And he said, I want a reality TV show about the son who survived the Parkland shooting and the dad who doesn't believe in the Parkland shooting. And he went on about it, and he made it sound so much way more funnier. But go ahead, continue.
No, yeah, I remember the podcast. He goes, just, you know what? The kid shouldn't just bitch and moan. The kid should egg him on more. He's like, just talk about 9/11 isn't real. It's all that shit.
You don't even know, Dad.
You don't even know what I've been through.
You don't even know who I talk to, who I'm being paid off by. It's crazy. It's crazy. I did 9/11. I did it. Like, and it was so funny. I mean, it was hilarious. But go ahead.
But like, yeah, it's like probably the kid needs to fucking move out, like Tim said. Like, dude, fucking leave. If no offense, there's a lot of crazy things your parents could be about. Just fucking leave. But that's the problem with like social media. Yes, you want to be a way to talk about things, but most of the time you're talking to bots or whatever, and people are just trolls. Like, I don't even know if you've seen this on Twitter, and I know on Facebook too. There's like copy and pastes of the same tweets by different bot accounts. It's like, and some of them are vaccine related. It's like, oh, I went to the ER and so many people were sick and dying in the hospital and crying for the vaccine. And I saw this, and then I saw like there's 20 more other accounts. It wasn't even retweeting. It's just the same verbatim. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Is this even fucking real?
No, I stay away from Twitter for two reasons. Number one, it seems to be probably one of the worst social medias out there.
Oh, I fucking hate it.
Number two, I'm dyslexic as fuck. So, I stay away from Twitter. But, like, a lot of the things that are posted on Instagram are reposts of tweets, which is so odd. And what you were saying about copy and pasting, what is reposting? What is retweeting? Other than just copy and pasting someone else's words. And literally not adding a single thing to it.
It's not even your opinion.
Not no one's opinion. You have no idea who the fuck it is who's typing that. Bernie Sanders, you think Bernie Sanders sits at his house and monitors his Instagram? Are you fucking retarded? Like, there's no way.
How many retweets did I get today?
Like, these politicians that they are reposting. It's like, these politicians aren't in control of their social media.
Yeah,
it's their team who have decided to do this. And then you're reposting somebody else's, like, team's word. Which is so odd and weird, and then you just get like a bunch of people posting these things who have no real idea what they're talking about. I mean, one of the ones that I think I have a couple saved on my phone I can read, but one of the things that I saw was like, you should get the vaccine. You have to get the vaccine because number one, it's effective. Number two, it's safe. Number three, it's proven by studies, and number four, if the only other bet against COVID is treatments that aren't really studied on. The problem with that is all four of those things that I just said are absolutely bullshit. There's like a little sliver of truth to that. It is effective for some people, but now what we're doing is, or now what we're seeing is we're seeing all these people who are vaccinated getting sick and dying from fucking COVID, which is ridiculous. So to say that it's effective, and you see this even at Shaw's, where you walk in and you see all these big posters. It's effective. Get the vaccine. It's effective. It's not. They didn't do enough studies on it. And they didn't do enough studies on it with COVID. And this is what everyone is fucking saying. Literally everyone. And now it's happening. And no one really wants to admit fault for this.
Well, now that you mentioned earlier, they're trying to get the third booster shot. Yeah. Like, if you ever... I don't think you're old. You didn't get the code. You didn't get the shot.
I didn't get the vaccine.
Well, you get the fucking card, right? There's 2 slots for your first and your second.
Yeah.
But there's 2 more, and I never fucking thought about it until like last week, and I looked at this card. I'm like, there's 2 more fucking spots on here. Yeah. Holy shit! Yeah. And I'm like, they don't do that on purpose. Yeah. And I'm not trying to conspiratize or anything, but like these fuckers, they knew like maybe they might get a new shot. Yeah. Like, I saw Pfizer's now trying to come out with their booster shot. And I said to my girl, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm no more for me. I'm gonna buy ivermectin. And so I don't know. So ivermectin is like.
So Brett Weinstein talked about this on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's what is it? Animal, like, he works with animals.
Okay.
Was
he a proponent? Did he like it?
He was the one that broke the lab leak theory on Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, okay.
So because he's I'm forgetting the type of scientist, biologist? No, that's not what it is.
Virologist?
Yes. That's what it is. So, virologist. Am I saying that right? So, he's a virologist, and what he does is he studies animals, and part of that is studying viruses within animals. And he was the first one to look at this COVID vaccine and say, this doesn't look like it was from a bat, guys. Like, I look at these vaccines all day long. This does not look like it came from a fucking bat or an animal in general.
Right. It looks mutated. Right.
Yes. So he broke that, and now he went on with... I have to look this up. Yeah. But he went on with some other guy on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about ivermectin. And basically ivermectin. And these two guys were kind of the biggest proponents for ivermectin. And they got banned on
off YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge...
Which is ridiculous.
So the problem is, like, ivermectin, it's an antibacterial, anti-fungi drug. It's like an over-the-counter cheap drug that you can easily make. But specifically, studies have done that it can target the spike proteins in COVID-19, and it actually reduces the effects. It doesn't stop you from getting it. But, like, if you're fucking sick and dying, you take some ivermectin, it actually... Your studies, I believe it was like the people who took ivermectin, it took them 5 days to recover from COVID rather than those who didn't, and it took 12. So granted, it's not the whole, it doesn't fucking cure you, but 5 days compared to 12, and if you're a lot worse in your fucking fat ass in a worse health conditions, it's going to be freaking good for you.
For sure.
But, oh, sorry, you're saying.
No, go ahead.
But like the pharmaceutical companies, right? So the FDA and such, they've, even in Fauci's emails, he notes that hydrochloroquine, I think that's how you pronounce it, and ivermectin were showing signs that it was improving. But the problem is, you have to think about it. It's like the medical health industry. It's like they want to fucking make money. Pfizer and all these other companies, they don't want to have some cheap over-the-counter drug that anybody can make work. They'd rather have their vaccines because they'll get billions upon billions of dollars. Yeah. So it's like, fuck you. No, I'm gonna get. So I've been stocking up in ivermectin and it's like you said with Brett Weinstein, him coming out with the COVID lag leak theory. It's like they knew that, or in the early days in Fauci's emails that got leaked through the Washington Post, that they knew that it definitely didn't look like it was just a natural recurring disease. It looked like it was fabricated. We were even wondering whether it passed through gain of function because the NIH had a ban on gain of function research because it is deadly. Why the fuck you're pumping up a virus that could kill humans? It's like you're making it more transmissible to create a vaccine for something that's more dangerous that could have maybe never happened. And it's a scary thought, man, that now our government doesn't want to even admit it. They don't really want to investigate it. They're not even telling you the truth, basically.
No. And the thing, I found it here. Yeah. It was Brett Weinstein and Dr. Perry Corey. So those are the two guys that broke. And really, when they went on this podcast, please, I'm going to butcher everything they're saying.
Yeah.
I've listened to this podcast probably, 3 weeks, a month ago. So I'm going to butcher a lot of it. But what they were saying is ivermectin's been in use for 40 years. So going back to what these Instagram posts are saying, what these Twitter feeds are saying, that these treatments, they don't have a lot of study or history to them. That's false.
Right, that's false. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Lie. That ivermectin has been in use. It's been over-the-counter prescribed for over 40 years. 40 years.
I know people who've been... Their doctors gave them ivermectin to stop some of the COVID symptoms. And now, my friend went to the other day because he had COVID. He doesn't get the vaccine.
Yep.
He tried to get ivermectin because I told him about it. They said they won't give it to him. And he's like, why they won't give it to him? Like the doctor before him, like my friend's actually, weirdly enough, had the same doctor. Right. He let them before. He's like, oh, we can't do that anymore. They said that we can't give out ivermectin because it doesn't work or whatever. I'm like, dude, why would you giving it to so many patients? Like, it's so fucking freaky, man.
Yeah.
It's just the way that the money basically rules the world, right? Yeah. It's just like, it's scary. And what are we to believe? Like, if vaccines aren't working and now you're making everyone skeptical and the whole fucking mask thing, when does this end? Like, does it ever end?
I don't
because
know.
Like,
I really don't.
The virus, like the flu, right? It mutates every fucking year.
Every year.
We don't think COVID-19 is not going to mutate every year?
Yeah, and the thing is with like, I got sick this week. I'm still a little sick. I got a sinus infection, really, really bad. It kicked my fucking ass. I mean, it really fucking did. And the thing that was super, super scary is that there's so many sickness right now. And a lot of people are fucking sick, and they don't even know if they really have COVID or not. And the thing is, now, because everyone has been wearing masks for over a year and a half, everyone's immune system...
They're trash, dude.
They're trash. They're fucking trash. And everyone stayed inside. No one really got healthy. No one knows the benefits of vitamin C. No one's still taking vitamin C or zinc.
Exactly, dude.
And these very, very important vitamins that your body needs. And the thing else with the ivermectin is that it does so many things. It's one of those weird, like, marijuana drugs where it does so many fucking shit for you.
Yeah.
There's so many components to it. And the thing is with the ivermectin is, like we get with cannabis, because you can take certain aspects of cannabis and very much enhance them with different strains, stuff like that. And you can even take a part of the plant out. You can take THC out and just get the CBD now.
Right.
Which is great. It's fantastic. Why could we not do this with ivermectin? We probably fucking could.
And they don't fucking want to.
No one wanted to do that. No, not a single human being. Because, and the thing is with these vaccines is now they're free.
Right.
But they're not free.
Right. We pay for them.
Us,
yeah, right.
But the taxes are going to go up.
Yeah.
We're paying with the tax bill. I mean, the gas is ridiculous right now. The gas rates are going the fuck up. You sit at the intersection at shit, and you look at the gas price, and it goes up and down. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Dude, it's craziness. And the fact that is, like, why the fuck now are people backing pharmaceutical companies? Weren't we all against pharmaceutical companies because the opioid crisis or them fucking overprescribing people for stupid shit? The amount of people that fucking become homeless have ruined their fucking lives. And Johnson, how many times have we heard Johnson & Johnson's medicine get recalled? Pfizer, all these major companies, they've been recalled.
All been in lawsuits. All of them have been in lawsuits.
Right.
All of them have been sued before. All of them have fucked up big time.
So why the fuck are we giving them so much power right now? It makes no sense. And believe the science. Believe the science. No one has been fucking logical here. No one. It's a crazy world we live in. And honestly, sometimes I just want to just go up and just go and live in a shack in the woods. No one fucking bother me. Just go hunting and whatever. But you can't even say that ivermectin. I don't even know, man. YouTube might ban this video because of just mentioning ivermectin. Bart Weinstein's been like that.
I don't think that big.
I hopefully. Hey, you're big in my heart. But anyways,
you're big in my heart.
But like, people. And sorry, but people, if you question the vaccine, you say, hey, I'm just gonna wait maybe because it's not FDA approved. It's not like I don't want to take it. I'm just gonna wait it out and see that no one fucking grows a third arm. But you say that on Twitter or Facebook, they'll not ban you because that's misleading COVID information. You're pushing for like misinformation, and I'm like, dude, the guy's just voicing his opinion, man. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so now that people are. And now specifically liberals, I call them shit libs, but they're fucking, they want it. They want like, give me the powers. You said something stupid. Shut up. You can't talk anymore. I'm like, what kind of world is this? We criticize China for their censorship in Russia. And you know how the Dems love Russia. Yeah. We're doing what they're doing now. And it might be COVID misinformation, whatever. Sometimes it might be beneficial, but they've been fucking wrong. The lab leak thing was literally conspiracy, right-wing conspiracy and craziness. It was backed by Trump, and then you got banned off Twitter and Facebook on the early days. I had a video that got taken down, and now since it's mainstream, it's okay. It's not. So we're basically now giving power to the government as like the Ministry of Truth, some 1984 shit, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like, what happened to all these liberals? These guys used to be like, fuck the patriarch, fuck everything. And now they're just like, yeah, CIA, yeah, pharmaceutical companies. It's just like, dude, I don't know, man.
And I don't know how they did it. They really like turned us against each other in a way where we always used to be the against the government. I mean,
Right.
the government should be scared of us. We should not be scared of the government. That has been the whole point of democracy from the start, is that the government does not have control over you. You have control over the government. And now it's completely flipped. No one has any control over what they're doing or saying. And it's just ridiculous. And I mean, one of the things that's going on now is with these young people. These young people are spreading all this misinformation and hate and all this shit. And I want to acknowledge something right now, is that I'm still 17, so I'm a dumb fuck. I'm a dumb fuck. I'm repeating everything that I've heard. I try to think about it logistically.
Right.
I take my time to think through these things. I have podcasts with different people and such, and we have all these types of conversations, and I try to get their
opinions and
point of view and all that stuff, and try to, really get to just soak up information and really digest it and think about what is right and what's wrong. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, though, still. Like, I'm still fucking 17. These 17-year-olds will not admit to the fact that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They have literally zero... Like, I can sit here all day and talk about ivermectin. I've never used ivermectin.
Right.
I've never been a doctor. I've never been a scientist.
Don't fucking trust us. Go talk to your doctor, you stupid shit.
Exactly.
Anyways.
But also talk to your doctor about this type of stuff. You need to bring this shit up to your doctor. This is what I want to do, is start conversation and just get people's mind expanded.
Dude, dead ass. If you see an article online and it's about health advice, print it out, go to your doctor. Literally say, hey, I saw this thing. I don't know if this is true. Hey, I trust you, because you got to trust somebody. Yeah. At least your private doctor. I don't give a fuck about Fauci, but him, he's your homie. He's been there forever. Trust him. Just like you got to talk to you.
Find a new one.
Exactly. Like, you have to trust somebody eventually. But, like, the social media thing, man, it makes it worse, because you know what? And you're right. Like, honestly, me getting away from social media actually allowed me to change my mind a little bit more, because the algorithms play against you. They start showing you things that you start watching and start to notice, and then they'll feed you a narrative. And it's just like, the fuck? If some Trumpy is not going to see the same thing about some, like, shit lib thing who's like, oh, fuck Trump. They're going to see some fucking completely different thing, and it's going to make it exacerbate it way worse. And they can be coworkers.
And the thing is like, the stories on Instagram are ruined. Like, I don't even look at this. And if you do, they're so spammed. It's going to take you 10 minutes to get through all this Instagram shit. And then you see something that makes you mad. So you look at it and you're like, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this. What are you talking about? And then you think about responding to this person and reaching out and thinking, what are you even talking about? But some of these people are just so into it. There's no way to reach them or grab them or change their mind in any way. All they're looking for is for reassurance.
Dude, I think it's their grift. I think it's like, yes, I have the fucking power now. You say what's wrong with me, I'm gonna cancel you. My dad used to abuse me.
And
you fucking...
And the thing is, with all this shit, is I completely lost what the fuck I was gonna say. Holy fuck. I was gonna say something really fucking cool and interesting.
Sorry.
But I completely lost what I was gonna... No, it's not your fault. But going back to the vaccines and all this other shit, now with this booster vaccine, I mean, how much money is that gonna cost?
I hope I'm not fucking paying for that, but we're gonna.
And that's the thing, is that my fear is that they're gonna make you pay for it. Is that they're gonna say you have to get the vaccine and you have to pay for it, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And the thing is with the vaccine is what they're doing is they're kind of turning people against it. By saying you still have to wear masks with vaccines. In every way of the word, if you are on edge about this vaccine, right now, as of, what date is it? August 5th, 2021, you have to be completely against this. If you were 2020, December, when it was starting to come out, and they were getting it together and all this shit, and the first doses started coming out, and you are on edge, right now, in August, you have to be completely against it. And I was on edge. I'm completely against this vaccine. There has been the J&JR stuff, complete bullshit. They literally made a vaccine, then had to recall it.
Right.
Then they had Now you have to wear masks. Now people with the vaccine are now dying, and now they're saying you need another booster shot. They have changed their story 4 fucking times now, and I'm sick and tired of this. This vaccine shit needs to fucking end. And just COVID in general. It's things, people are gonna die. That's how we did it. No one gives a fuck about school shootings. No one cared. People were bringing guns into school and shooting children. Literal fucking children. The overdose rate has been skyrocketing the fuck up, and why are we only caring about COVID? And it's serious, whatever.
It's a scapegoat, bro.
But, I mean, like, this is ridiculous, and now they're like, I don't, what's going on with, like, apparently now we're gonna move out of, like, Afghanistan now? There's so much shit going on with our government. But I kind of do want to move past this vaccine stuff, and I kind of want to get into Afghanistan stuff.
Yeah.
So fuck! I'm so bad at remembering names, but there was this girl. She was on Tim Dillon, and she was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Mm-hmm. She is an actual reporter. She goes into places, and she, like, reports what she sees. And she's saying, with Afghanistan now, and what, like, our government has been doing with terrorism is sort of the same thing that they're doing with COVID now.
Oh, 100%.
Like, with terrorism, with this whole plan to get rid of Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda. Fucking stupid. Al-Qaeda. They want to get rid of Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda now occupies more of Afghanistan more than when we first came. That is fucking absurd. I mean, that 20 years in a fucking country, sending troops, having people died, injured, PTSD, all of these things for nothing.
For fucking nothing.
Nothing. And I try to talk to my dad about Vietnam, and he's like, well, you don't know at the time. They're doing the same thing, though, with Afghanistan.
They are literally.
Now.
It is the exact same fucking thing. You have Vietnam. In Vietnam, dude, they knew through the Vietnam Papers, through, Senator Gravel, who just passed away, read the whole thing. They had no fucking clue why they were there. Against the Vietnam. They have no fucking clue that what they're doing in Afghanistan right now. Yeah. It's all about the fucking oil. They went into... Dude, actually, I need you to show a video. Go on YouTube. This is the real fucking reason why we're in the Middle East, dude. Type in YouTube. So go on YouTube. Wesley Clark, Middle East. Democracy Now. Or, yeah. Something like that.
Yep, I'm going to pull it up.
Wesley Clark. Oh, it's not typing.
Oh, my God.
Democracy Now.
What the
You spelled it right.
Oh, my bad. I'm on caps lock. My bad. Fuck's sake,
dude. So Wesley Clark here, right? He's he's a general of the time under the Bush administration. Rumsfeld, Secretary of State Rumsfeld. He's basically one of the main attributes why we entered Afghanistan and Iraq, and why he sent the troops. Democracy Now. Sorry.
No problem. I was forgetting. I'm trying to pay attention to what you're saying, and I'm also...
So, hopefully there's the video. Fuck. Go down.
I think this... Is this him?
That is him, but there's a specific clip that might be... It might talk about in that one. Fuck.
It's okay. There was one...
Massachusetts homeowners, if you
haven't... Shut up. No one cares. But there was I don't know if it was this guy, but there was some politician who said after 9/11, we don't know why.
Yeah, that's the one. When we don't know why we're there, and then he got a list and said...
Days after 9/11,
this is it.
I couldn't stay away from Mother Army.
Okay, here we go. I need to fucking... There we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me a second.
This is honestly one of the most important things.
Don Rumsfeld, I worked for him as a White House fellow in the 1970s. All this is in the book. And I said, am I doing okay on CNN? He said, yeah, fine. He said, I'm thinking about it. He says, I read your book. And he said, this is a book that talks about the Kosovo campaign. And he said, I just want to tell you, he said, nobody's going to tell us where or when we can bomb. Nobody. He said, I'm thinking of calling this a floating coalition. What do you think about that? I said, well, sir, thanks for reading my book. And, he said, thanks, that's all the time I've got. Really? And I went downstairs. I was leaving the Pentagon, and an officer from the Joint Staff called me into his office and said, I want you to know, he said, sir, we're going to attack Iraq. And I said, why? He said, we don't know. He said, I said, well, did they tie Saddam to 9/11? He said, no. He said, but I guess they don't know what to do about terrorism, and so they think, but they can attack states, and they want to look strong, and so I guess they think if they take down a state, it will intimidate the terrorists. And you know, it's like that old saying. He said, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then every problem has to be a nail. Well, I walked out of there pretty upset, and then we attacked Afghanistan. I was pretty happy about that. We should have. And then I came back to the Pentagon about 6 weeks later. I saw the same officer. I said, why haven't we attacked Iraq? We still going to attack Iraq? He said, oh, sir. He says, it's worse than that. He said, he pulled up a piece of paper off his desk. He said, I just got this memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that says we're going to attack and destroy the governments in 7 countries in 5 years. We're going to start with Iraq, and then we're going to move to Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. I said, 7 countries in 5 years. I said, is that a classified memo? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. He was about to show it to me. He said, because I want to talk about it. And I sat on this information for a long time, for about 6 or 8 months. I was so stunned by this, I couldn't begin to talk about it. And I couldn't believe it would really be true, but that's actually what happened. These people took control of the policy in the United States. And I realized then, it came back to me, a 1991 meeting I had with Paul Wolfowitz. You know, in 2001 he was Deputy Secretary of Defense, but in 1991 he was the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy. It's the number 3 position in the Pentagon. And I had gone to see him when I was a 1-star general. I was commanding the National Training Center. I had met him one time. He said, if you ever get to Washington, come look me up. They always say that. Well, I was there in Washington. It was a Friday afternoon. I'd visited Colin Powell. He'd given me 5 minutes of his precious time and sent me on my way. And I was bored in the Pentagon. And I thought, I'll just go, who can I see? I think I'll see Wolfowitz. So I called him up there. He was available. Scooter Libby came to the door. I met Scooter for the first time. And he brought me in. And I said to Paul, I said, and this is 1991. I said, Mr. Secretary, you must be pretty happy with the performance of the troops in Desert Storm. And he said, well, yeah, he said, but not really. He said, because the truth is we should have gotten rid of Saddam Hussein, and we didn't. And this was just after the Shia uprising in March of 91, which we had provoked, and then we kept our troops on the sidelines and didn't intervene. And he said, but one thing we did learn, he said, we learned that we can use our military in the region, in the Middle East, and the Soviets won't stop us. He said, and we've got about 5 or 10 years to clean up those old Soviet client regimes. Syria, Iran, Iraq, before the next great superpower comes on to challenge us.
That's basically it. But
yeah.
You get the. So he lists off Syria, he lists off Iran, he lists off Iraq.
Can I just stop you real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to break down what people were listening to.
Yeah.
They were listening to an American politician.
4-star general.
4-star general. Explain and say, we're going to invade countries, and they have no idea why, and they don't have plans, and they also would, cause problems. They would. What did he say?
He insisted on the Shia tribe to take over parts of, I believe he said Iraq.
Yes, so they prompted it, but then their troops would just sit on the sidelines.
They fucking do this now, dude.
Yes.
They literally do this in current day. They bombed Somalia last week. They bomb Iran, Iraq, Syria all the time. Joe Biden was under a presidency with Barack Obama. They ran out of fucking bombs. That's how many times they bombed the countries. Yep. All for oil. Donald Trump was very transparent. I fucking hate that we were there, but he said, you know what? We bombed Syria, but we're protecting the oil. And it's like, that's the fucking, that's why they hated him, because he said the loud part. He said it loud, the quiet part loud. But This is seriously why we're in the Middle East, and it's not. They say terrorism all the time. To go back to what we were really talking about in the beginning, but this is a generals talking about. They have no clue why we're going in these countries. They just know that they can, and they have the power. And so, you know how on the war on terror, right? So Bush's administration with the Patriot Act, how they wanted to increase their surveillance to fight against terrorism now that front is coming to the United States and to find out the information on American people.
Yep, and this is the stuff that Edward Snowden
basically called out.
And now he's in Russia or whatever, wherever the fuck he's hiding, because he's a fugitive into the United States of America. He's an American hero. He showed what the government was doing and how the government is spying on everything you do online. Every phone call, every text message, any email, all of it.
In the name of terrorism.
In the name of terrorism. And that is now what they're doing with COVID. And, like, right now, with terrorism, nobody gives a fuck about terrorism.
Well, now they use lawyerly language, right? So they have it so vague that who's a terrorist? So they have this thing now against domestic extremism because, you know, Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys are all the big, huge mess that are fucking whatever. Right. That the left hates, and it's just like, oh, it's a right-winged, we have a white supremacy problem. Yeah. That's what they fucking do. So they use the culture war, and they say, okay, we're going against extreme terrorists. They define terrorists, and I talked about this on my Substack. Anybody who's anti-government, anti-establishment, anti-authority, all this such, I'm like, I'm anti-authority. I'm anti-government.
Right.
Am I a fucking extremist?
Right.
So are you looking at my stuff right now? Is this how you justify looking at my stuff?
Yeah.
And this is, we are literally live in a totalitarian state. The ones that we criticize abroad, we live in that today, but no one cares. Yeah. Because, you know, this is how they get you. They say, oh, war on terror. Now we're bringing it here now about COVID. And this is what we talked about earlier about, like, how they're censoring people.
Yes.
And it's getting far fucking worse. Now, you can't even make... So PayPal, right? One of the largest companies for transactions in general, right? They're now partnering with the ADL, which is the Anti-Defamation League, and going through payments, who you're sending it to, whatever, to make sure they're not extremists, they're not whatever. So now you are looking at transactions, and the ADL is now, it gets help from the U.S. government through the Five Eyes program that Edward Snowden released, where all of their surveillance, they're getting basically cues from the government to stop transactions of everyday people. And yes, you might actually get a terrorist, but what if it's like me? Like I said, their definition's very broad. What if I'm trying to have a business or start getting a movement going against our government to push for different policies? Right. They can now cancel that in a heartbeat. And this is the authoritarian government we live in. And it's not like we don't see this on both sides. You do see it on both sides. We found out like 2 months ago that... I
think you and me are on the same side of the thing where it's like... Republican, Democrat, they're basically the same guy, just in different mode.
They're just in a red or blue tie. Yeah. I think they're fucking shit.
Yeah, both of them.
I think they don't actually support for their people. Like, 68% of Republicans believe in healthcare system, but all the Republican politicians are bought out by the healthcare industry. Right. They get all lobbied out. Your own people who put you in office wants a healthcare plan, system. Whether it's single payer or if it's public option, at least some sort of universal healthcare, but they don't fucking care.
And the way I've always looked at healthcare, which the governor of Texas, governor of Texas has proposed, which he seems pretty legit. He went on the Joe Rogan podcast. Anyone who goes on a podcast as a politician is I think in my eyes pretty legit, because to be on a podcast, you gotta either be a psychopath or you gotta be real. There's the only two ways, which I think, and you gotta be a legitimate psychopath. You gotta fake your way through a 40-minute conversation, 40 to 3-hour conversation. That is hard as fuck to do. But anyway, the governor said, why don't we have this? A lot of problems with the Republicans when it comes to the welfare system is that there's no money to me. So if I wanted health care and I was on welfare, what would happen is the welfare system would choose, and this is how I know it's working, the welfare system would choose the insurance I'm getting, then welfare would just pay, or that, not welfare, Obamacare. The way Obamacare works is that there's no money directly towards me. So Obamacare chooses what you want as an insurance. They choose what insurance is best for you, which is fucking ridiculous. Then that money from Obamacare's goes directly towards the insurance company.
And don't you pay a lot of out of pocket too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you do pay a good amount as out of pocket as well. So they choose your insurance, money goes directly towards them, and then you also pay out of pocket as well. That's horseshit.
That's yeah.
What the governor of Texas wants, who's obviously Republican, he wants a system where the money goes directly towards the person. So if I couldn't afford insurance or health care, I would get the money. You would pay me $1,000 check, and you would say, hey, you better make sure this $1,000, whatever it is, $1,000, $10,000,
credit,
whatever the
fuck
credit, the
right.
money is. What you better make fucking sure that this money goes to the insurance company. And that's it. That's the end of the story.
Right.
You choose the insurance. You choose which plan is best for you. And if you want a really expensive insurance, you can do that. Sort of.
Right.
Because you can get the money from the government, and then you can also pay a lot out of your pocket if you choose to.
Right.
The problem is that the way the Obamacare health system is set up is it's set up for corruption.
Right.
That is corruption. There's no middleman. It's just the insurance company to government. That's fucked.
Yeah.
That's insanely fucked.
And the prices didn't go down. So you think that if the government was actually in good favor, the prices would go down. You're cutting the middleman, and you're basically... I don't get how people don't understand. These private companies are not private companies in a way. No. If the government is basically giving its fundamental where the money's going towards... It's basically a public good. Yeah. And so this is why people do argue differently about public option and Medicare for all with the single payer healthcare. And it's, it's something that we all have to talk about. But it seems on the right that they don't really talk about or want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And luckily for me, the other day I went to the Medicare for All march in Boston. So it was actually my first kind of like live political event in a way. Wow. So I went to go take like interviews and stuff, and I talked to this guy named Dr. Alan Myers in one of my interviews. Okay. And he kind of changed my mind a little bit about the public option, and I'm still more on the public option because me personally, you giving the government that much control, it's fucking scary because what if you have them controlling electricity, you have them controlling your healthcare, they can just say, oh, no, never mind, you're not going to get the healthcare. Right. You're not going to fucking do it. Yeah. So that's more of my libertarian aspects to it. Right. But he made a good point. He's like, okay, healthcare is a different beast all of its own. It's not like a car. When you're buying a car, you say like, oh, you can buy the Lamborghini. Oh, you can buy the Prius. Yeah. You can buy whatever car that fits your needs or what you want. Right. And that's great. But it's not like healthcare, because imagine you're disabled. So a lot of health insurances, if you have pre-existing health conditions, well, fucking tough shit. You can't go on their plan. Yep. If you have some sort of chronic disease that's going to cost thousands upon thousands of dollars, they're not going to pick you up. So what are you going to do? Buy the cheaper option that's not going to cover your costs? Right. And he was like, you make a fair point there. It's like, and it's not necessarily, I don't think it's socialist in a way. I think it's like, if you have a public option, this is why I think the public option works. You have private health insurance and you have universal health care. Yeah. So you are the middleman, meaning you pick the government's health care or the private insurance. And that keeps the competition. In my eyes, you're cutting the healthcare costs across the board because obviously government healthcare is going to be cheap as hell. It's going to be either free or it's going to be some sort of set rate, making all other costs, it's just going to shoot down. Yeah. And these are the real conversations we're trying to have. And specifically on the right, like, they don't got much to get votes for. They're like, what are they for? They're like, anti-woke, we're going to keep your guns, no aborting babies. Like, but that's really it. Like, what else do they preach on?
Which, by the way, I think a lot of people, no matter what side you're on, a lot of people are moderate when it comes to abortion and gun control. And the right politicians, in my eyes, paint this picture where it's like, no babies. There's absolutely, you have to have a baby, even if you're pregnant. Where a lot of Republicans that I meet, they're for Plan B. They are usually around the first 2 months of a pregnancy they're okay with. But then where they draw the line is when they start to get through the third trimester, which is like about 6 months.
Right, and I agree too. I'm like, why the fuck?
In all honesty, I don't fucking know. I really don't. Like, for me, abortion is just not to be talked about because there's... number one, I'm a dude, which, like, obviously, anyone can have... There's, like, with women, there's this, like, whole movement with, like, you can't have an opinion on abortion if you're a guy, which is absolutely horseshit.
Right.
Because you're cutting someone out of a conversation. You should never, ever cut someone out of a conversation completely. But women's opinions probably are more valuable.
Right, they're the fucking final coffin. They're the thing that's shooting that thing out.
For sure. And I'm 100%
I
back that. But the thing is that when can you not fucking... abort this thing? Can you abort it when it's born?
Well, the problem is certain states do after abortions.
That's
fucked up.
That's fucked. I'm
sorry, I can't. Like,
if the baby's coming out of the fucking pussy, you better leave that thing on this planet.
You leave that thing here. It made it. That's like...
It's here. It's here. You can't get rid of that anymore. That is here to stay. And so it's... But some people have this crazy extremist view that if the baby comes out, you can kill in the first 5 minutes. What the fuck? That's a human being. I'm looking at it. I see it. It has a head, eyes, nose, ears, mouth, a heartbeat, legs, everything. It's a fucking human.
Well,
man.
I don't get the point too, and I know we're talking about this, but fuck it, we're talking about this. I don't get it when people go, okay, fuck. I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We're talking about abortion.
Whoa. They'll get an abortion because they want to give a baby a better chance in life. They think that they're not there for it. They're not in a good situation where it can have the greatest life ever. You're denying, in my opinion, and you don't have to fucking listen to me. I'm just fucking some guy in my fucking room who makes videos. You are choosing.
Well, wait, hold on. You're a lot more than I am. You're going to college. I'm a guy in a room recording.
We do both, but
you're a little bit more than me. You're more than me.
It's just about a process. But anyways, like, thank you. But
you're talking about.
So like they say that you're not going to give them a chance if they're in a bad, like if you're a teen parent, you're not going to give them a chance in a great life. And to be honest, I don't get that. I respect that. No offense. You put your penis... Someone put the penis in the vagina. Unless it's rape, unless it's something bad, you committed to something, and you are denying somebody a chance at life. Yes, it might be a shit chance. Maybe their odds are stacked against them. But most of the greatest people come from hard times. All the comedians come from hard times. Motivational speakers, hard times. You are denying this person an existence in life because, you know what? To be honest, it's just your selfishness. In a way. Because you're like... And being selfish isn't bad. Sometimes it's good. You have to. Sometimes it's bad. You have to be. And I understand that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
There's good selfishness.
I think suicide's selfish, but sometimes, people kill themselves. That's what it is.
It is. It's the easy way out that benefits you. So inherently in that conversation, you're saying, I don't think I'm good enough to help this person up. And I'm like, that's your decision that you're making, Yeah. And like, that's where I can't get past it. But like sometimes, at the end of the day, and I say this, and like, I'm Catholic. I do believe in God.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna... Who am I to judge you? There is so many verses in the Bible that says, don't judge others unless you want to be judged as harsher.
Right.
So if they kill their baby, as much as like I'm gonna be upset about it, but whatever, I don't have to say anything. Right. At the end of the day, if they believe in God, they die. Guess who's gonna send them to hell? God will judge them. Right. That's the final judge, in my opinion. Why the fuck am I have to say I am nothing to them? I am just a small speck in this universe. I am absolutely nothing. So why do I have to interfere,
Exactly. And going back to what liberals are saying nowadays going back to the vaccine is this whole idea of you have to get the vaccine because it's affecting other people.
Yeah.
And Republicans say, women or Republicans are now saying you don't have to get the vaccine because you have control over your own body.
That's true. That's true.
But then Republicans go against that by saying, well, you can't have an abortion. And that is true.
Right.
But the only problem with that is that it goes both fucking ways,
dude.
dumbass.
Exactly.
It goes both ways, fucking retard.
You're so fucking dumb.
If Republicans say
my body, my choice.
My body, my choice. That goes for abortion and a fucking vaccine, you moron.
And weed.
It's so weed too, crack as well. Let's go.
That's everything, dude. My body, my fucking choice, man.
And that's the thing that I don't understand with these liberals now. They're like, oh, Republicans, you have my body, my choice. But when it comes to vaccines, you
won't.
It's your choice, really? But like when it comes to abortion, it's actually not your body, not your choice. But you know what? It doesn't go the other way around. But it does. It does. And people have their own body and their own choices to the point where babies are coming out of pussies and you fucking murder them, then people don't have to get the fucking vaccine. That's
Dude,
just...
if you're okay with murdering babies, then you're okay if these fucking old people don't want to take the vaccine.
I'm not saying murdering babies like past the whatever.
It's not a good thing, but by their logic, it doesn't make sense.
I am saying a baby out of a pussy, when it comes out, that is a human being and you cannot kill it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can kill it in the third trimester. I don't know. That's up for science and for that's for all those people to decide. Where I draw the line is if a baby is born, you can't kill that thing. It's not a fetus. It's a baby. It's a human. And if you think that that's okay to kill it after it comes out of the vagina, first of all, you're crazy. Number two, then people don't have to get the fucking vaccines.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is.
You don't believe in...
And this whole idea, going back to what you were saying, this whole argument with the liberals is, well, you have to get the vaccine because it doesn't just affect you. It affects those around you because you can't transmit the virus. Mm-hmm. But going back to what you were saying is that baby could have the cure for cancer.
Right.
So who the fuck are you to say that it won't affect other people around you? That baby, the thing that you are stopping being born could, and again, it's your body,
your choice.
But that baby could, it's a slim chance, but could be the second coming of Christ.
You don't fucking...
And that's just the whole...
Maybe we killed Jesus along the line. That's why we're all fucked. They just been aborting the baby, so smashing him with hands. It's like, I am the son of God. He's like, wah! Starts like growing angel wings out of its back and just like sledgehammer it. Pop, pop, pop.
That's too much.
That's too much. I'm sorry, God.
No, it's okay. But the thing is that it goes both ways here, and it's so ironic. It's so ironic that if it is your body, your choice, it goes with everything. It goes with weed, it goes with crack, it goes with coke, it goes with vaccines, it goes with abortions. Mm-hmm. But it only works in certain scenarios. Bullshit.
It has to
bullshit.
It only works if it benefits them.
Yes.
And that's how it always is for both sides. They're both fucking suck. I think I've grown a lot during the past pandemic, and like how I told you in the beginning, I was a Republican. I'm not a fucking Republican anymore. I'm actually even maybe advocating for a third party. Like I want the third party because most people are independents in this country, whether it's left leaning or right leaning. They're mostly independent.
Well, the thing is that the most parties have just gone too far. These parties have gone too far with most people, and they don't necessarily understand. Like they don't like it. And the thing is, where you heard like the olden days, where people could say, I am Republican, but then they would disagree with Republicans. Mm-hmm. If somebody says they're Republican now, you can almost guess all their political views on every subject, and it's disappointing. Because it gets boring. It gets that... I mean, that's the end of the day for me, is like, I like things interesting, okay? I don't want everyone to think like me. If everyone thought like me, the whole world would go down in about 0.3 seconds. Not everyone can think like Chris Pushkar. It just won't work. So, but to think that you're like some god, so everybody should think like you, what are you, fucking Christ? Like, calm down. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Everyone is born differently, and we all have these very, very touchy subjects for all of us. Mine is probably weed, and the other one is probably assisted suicide. Assisted suicide because my grandma passed away from my great-great-grandma passed away from Alzheimer's, and it is, or Alzheimer's, I think. Yeah. Also, the one where dementia. Fuck's sake, dementia. I'm slow.
Dude, you're fine. No worries, bro.
Things. But dementia. She died from dementia, and I swear to God, if I get diagnosed with dementia, I want to be killed immediately, like on the spot, just death. Because watching someone go through dementia, it's seriously like the hardest thing to do. They're just dead. Right. And that, like, a lot of people are like, that's offensive, whatever. Like, they're not there anymore. The human that once was is gone. And they're confused. They're lost. They need help. It costs a lot of money to take care of these people. I don't want my kids dealing with that. I don't want my parents dealing with that when I'm at that age. And people live that long at this point. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Right. It doesn't want my friends. Whatever. I don't want to be taken care of. I want to be independent. And if I have dementia, I want to be able to have help from the government to be killed. And to go out on my, like, choice. Yeah. And maybe that is selfish. I don't give a fuck.
That's your choice.
My choice. And so, and it's, I don't know. And like with
I would never be wanted to taken care of like that. Like imagine being on a wheelchair, or you need. Oh, I'll change your diapers, Grandpa. Yeah. Oh, I'll feed you. I'm like, no, what the fuck? Yeah. I'm not a baby.
Kill me.
Just kill me. I'm on the same way, man.
And the thing is with weed, when it comes to, it's just I know how fucking good it feels. I mean, I really do. I love it. I fucking love it. It helps my depression. It helps my ADHD. It relaxes me. I feel great. It does all these fantastic elements, and the idea that people are being charged or in jail in a cage being treated like animals because they smoke weed, like what is going on here?
Like, get a fucking grip, man.
It doesn't make sense. And like when it comes to like this whole conversation of what is it it's RE
representation,
repayments, I guess.
Reparation.
There we go. Reparations for slavery.
Yeah.
The big one for me is that I always go to is that reparations from slavery is a little weird.
Yeah.
For individually, it's a little weird. When you're talking about big corporations like Shaw's that have been around since the 1700s, like what were you doing during those whole that slave trade thing? What did you use slaves? Because if you did, you need to fucking pay back African Americans, and that's just how I feel. Or you need to give money to Detroit or Compton or South Side of Chicago, where all these places have been affected by racism and they're still down low, but. And the big one for reparations for slavery is these people who have been in jail for 40 years for smoking weed. We should be 40 years. So like
the war on drugs is still today, dude.
Half of your life gone because you smoked marijuana. The memories, the children, like all of these things that you have lost, and like I get choked up talking about it because it's so ridiculous. Like, how can you just take someone's life away and treat them like an animal for doing something as simple as weed or literally anything, coke, crack, whatever the fuck it is? I've never done coke, I've never done crack, so I can't really speak to it. But like, imagine if you got arrested for alcohol. Like, that to me is also ridiculous. But we don't have that. We only have that with weed. And, I mean, these people need reparations. For sure. And I don't know. It's just, we all have these very sensitive subjects that we feel very, very strongly on.
Yeah.
And so, but we also have to toughen up, and have these conversations.
My one thing with reparations, and I'm more for reparations, is just how you do it.
How? Like, that's me too. Yes.
Right. But like, say for example, it's just like, how are you gonna find the lineage? You know, like who was a slave trader? Like that's hard. What you made a very good point. It's like Chicago, Detroit, and all these areas. Yes. or in the some even in the South, how about those areas that were impacted from slavery? How about you benefit those communities? You start not like just pumping money, because you just give people money, they're gonna find ways for corruption. They're gonna find ways to do it. And I'm not talking about everyday people. I'm talking about like the government. But if you start building new bridges in these areas, start building new roads, start increasing its like capitalism capability, so they're able to gain wealth, or people that were stuck in redlining or due to blockbusting and are in poor areas, and there can only be stuck in poor areas because that's the culture of poverty. And you have ways that'll affect the community by class is better, in my opinion, because like I said, it's harder to find what black people are like that. But if you affect, it will predominantly help more people of color. It is sort of reparations to those communities that were impacted by racism.
And the thing is, again, going back to what I was saying, who should pay for this? Who should pay all these things?
Yeah.
These corporations that have been around since slavery, what were they doing? Like, I'm not saying Shaws did slaves, but we know that they were around when slaves were around, and we also know that they were around with Jim Crow, for sure.
Did you know 9 out of the 13 states were actually free? Like, they didn't have slavery. Only 3 states of the 13 that came here had slavery. And by 1777, Vermont was trying to push for to abolish slavery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's a huge factoid that I didn't even know about until the other week.
I didn't know about that either.
Yeah, so slavery is actually in the United States, and this is where it is a tricky conception, and I do believe in reparations. But slavery in itself, when it was fortified within the Constitution, Benjamin Franklin wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah,
because in England they kept them as slaves. You know, everybody was slave. It was like whatever, but they needed slavery. Or the 3 other states believed that they needed slaves to fight against the war, and then eventually getting to this huge thing. And it's just like, I hate when people say our country is founded on slavery, because it's like historically not true. But the people that are impacted, because like 3 states were on.
I've heard this before. It was the first owner of slaves of African American. I think he was.
Maybe, I don't know, but a lot of African Americans were traded from Africa by Africans.
Yeah.
Or from Brazil. It was a huge port over there, but it still doesn't even. I'm not trying to make light of slavery, because 1 out of 6 Americans.
It's horrible.
1 out of 6 Americans were slaves. So like that is a reality, and that's true. That's how much slavery was there. But believe me, those have impacts.
And it's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's one of the worst things ever. But like, let's also be honest about what we're talking about here. I mean, at the end of the day, slavery in other countries, in India and China, I mean, they make our slavery look like a joke.
Oh, I know.
That, I mean, and that seems offensive to a lot of people, but it's true. And that just to show you how much slavery there was in all over the world.
Right.
It was worse in other parts of the world, which is crazy.
Well, if you think about it, most Latin countries, they have like an Afro mix. It's because they brought slavery within the country, like in Peru and Brazil and Chile. Like, black people wouldn't naturally be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it hasn't impacted the whole world, which is not a good thing.
Not a good
but
thing.
not a
We're
good
not
thing.
saying that
We're not.
it is
It's
a
not.
good
Or it's
thing.
not. But the fact that it's not
reparations,
right.
We need to like look at all the sides.
Right.
And I think, honestly, corporations that were in these states, what were they doing at that time? Are they around today? And if they are around today, they should pay.
I never thought of it like that, but like they should pay
Detroit. They should pay Compton. Like all these areas that have been affected by racism the most, they need to fucking pay up. And they benefited from it directly. Is that like when this whole conversation comes out with white people and like all these white people should pay because they're benefiting off slavery, it's like kinda, but
not all of them are there
directly.
Right.
Not directly. These corporations that were around and probably using slavery, they need to go. I mean, they need, or not go, but they need to pay. They need to fucking pay up.
Well, and what the problem is between, like, also with the effects of slavery is just, like, generational wealth.
Yeah.
It's, like, obviously, majority of the white people, since they were able to collect everything, they have wealth continuing down after family and family. And think of it as if you're a free slave, you got nothing since day one.
Nothing.
And you've been forced to live in certain areas, which keeps you in that poverty. And what are you going to do? You're not going to have. And we're the richest country in the world. And this is where I say to Republicans, like, if you want to make America great again, you want to stop having losers. And like, I'm not trying to make it like that, but like, the weakest, you're the stronger you are is based off of the weakest link.
Yeah,
you
the
got
strongest. The strongest is only
butcher
the
the
strongest,
fucking
the weakest.
Yeah, exactly. And if we want, and this is where I know we've moved away in society, and it's not based by race policies, but it's based by class. So we have to help people by class. And the lower class needs our help, and the middle class too. And this is where we need health care. This is where we need rent control, a UBI type thing. Make Americans feel motivated, you know?
Right. And at the end of the day, this is where people keep saying is there's so much racism in this country, and we need to attack these racist policies. Here's the problem. There are no racist policies nowadays. There is classism policies. That is for sure. That there's classism, laws, and regulations that we should get rid of. The reason why people think it's racist, though, is because
more white people
of what happened with slavery and Jim Crow, and these communities are mostly, people of color, and they've had to live through poverty, and now it's classism, so they're staying in these lower communities. So it looks a lot like racism, but at the end of the day, it's the aftermath of racism on top of classism.
Exactly.
And that is, and so when we are getting all these anti-racist laws and all these regulations about racism, you're not attacking the problem. You need to attack the classist problem.
Right.
And you need to help these communities be better.
How is it that so for the IRS, they're basically the ones who investigate your taxes. They will investigate people that make $25K or less 10 times more likely than someone who's in a $1 billion partnership.
And it's crazy.
You make $25K or less.
Crazy.
You'll get so they never want to check the billionaire partnerships. How can it be from 2014 to 2018, collectively, the top 25 Americans, they made $497 million collectively, and only paid $13.7 million in taxes between those 4 years. And the problem is these corporations, they are in bed with the politicians. They lobby them. So it's all legal.
Yeah.
But they're pushing for policies that go against us, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, it's not just like, that's the thing with the woke and racism, and everyone keeps on fucking putting names and shit. Yeah. We're not solving the problems.
No,
we're not solving the class problems. There's a marginal gap wealth that's just increasing upon time. It's gone far worse during the pandemic. And people of color, anybody in the middle and lower class are more affected because of this pandemic than these big corporations. When 2008 and when Wall Street crashed and the banks failed and the subprime mortgages loan, they paid $500 billion to bail out the banks. They did it again during the pandemic. Why? And we were arguing for a $2,000 fucking check. This is a failed system, Chris. Yeah. It does not work.
I mean. God, I feel like that's a good way to end it off.
Yeah, man. Dude, thank you for having me.
Doesn't work. We talked about a lot of shit today. We went on for like an hour and 20 minutes, or an hour and 17 to be exact, which is nuts. I swear to God, we talked for like 20 minutes. But that was a really good way to wrap up the podcast. I want to have you back sooner than later again. It was a later
Gotta keep
time.
updated.
So much shit happened. I didn't even talk to you about going to Austin. I didn't even talk to you about that.
Oh, dude, yeah, you
went to Austin. It was sick. Wow. Really, really fucking good. It was the food there was absolutely amazing. Best food I've ever had. Every restaurant I went to in Austin would be the best restaurant in Easton.
Wow.
Or even the towns next to us. Maybe not Boston. Maybe there's a couple good restaurants in Boston. I've never been to any.
Was it hot?
Hot. 90 degrees every day.
I'd fucking love that.
When it was nighttime, it was like high 70s. So it was
that's nice. That's
hot.
Nice.
No humidity at all. The only thing that really was a problem was homelessness. That was really
really?
So much homelessness.
In Austin?
So many.
Wow.
So much homelessness. What they did was they problem with them is that they're so fucking liberal there. It's fucking nuts. They're liberal there. Like, I feel like there's a culture there in Austin where they have to be so much more liberal to make up for the rest of the state.
They're compensating.
Compensating. But they changed a policy like about back in 2018 where they let homeless people, set up tents.
Right.
And so what happens? All the other homeless people come to Austin. So their homeless population over doubled from that policy.
Wow.
And it's been a train wreck.
This is why I never live in the cities. Fuck the cities.
Live in cities. I'll live right outside the city.
That'd be good. An hour away, just like Boston. That's what I would do. Look, cities.
Exactly, and it's closer, and there's less traffic there.
You think you want to live there yet? Or you think
going.
definitely you're going? Dude, that's sick.
For sure. Austin, get ready for me. You're not ready. I'm such a.
You'll see me there, bro. I'll follow you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have you on this podcast.
Yeah. Check out What's Up America, guys, on YouTube.
What's Up America on YouTube, Spotify, I believe too.
Yeah, and I started my own Substack, so yeah, just follow me on Instagram. Yeah, so it's like where I post my articles.
Oh,
so
okay.
I do journalism now a little bit.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
that was really fun. I read one article. I think it was.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
About what was it about? I think it was about.
My last one was about domestic terrorism, and then the other one was censorship.
I read the censorship one. That one was really fucking good. That was
Thanks,
really good, man. You're a good writer. Well, you got big things cooking, Christian. You're on your way. What year of college are you going into?
Senior year, final year.
Oh my god!
It's the big banger. So if lockdown comes, I'll be pissed. But
you should be 100%.
I'll have my own apartment, so I'm not gonna be stuck at home this time. So you gotta pop by.
I will definitely pop by at your apartment, man, for sure.
All right.
Absolutely. All right, man. It was fucking blast having you on here. Great podcast. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll have you on soon.
Thanks again.
Peace out, everyone.
Peace out.